So a recent study seems to indicate that 52 sets per week is the optimal number for muscle growth and strength. Let's break this study down real quick and talk about why that claim is not true. So the study broke participants down into 3 groups. Each group started by performing 22 total sets for the quads per week. They kept one group at 22 for the entire 12 weeks. A second group added 4 sets every 2 weeks to end at a total of 42 sets in the last 2 weeks. A third group added 6 total sets every 2 weeks, ending them in their last 2 weeks at 52 sets. Important to note that all they did was quad work. They threw in a little bit of hamstrings, but there was no other muscle group indicated in this study. Participants were free to train upper body, but that was not part of the study, and we have no idea what they did on their own time. So the results of the study showed an increase in strength and hypertrophy as volume increased. So group 1 that stayed at 22 had the least amount. Group 2 that added 4 sets every 2 weeks had a little more, and the group that added 6 sets every 2 weeks had the most. So the natural conclusion to this is that 52 sets per week is optimal for muscle growth, right? Not so fast. The first thing that should jump out at you in this study is that no group completed 52 sets per week for an entire training cycle of 12 weeks. They started at 22 and they gradually built up the volume. They only spent 2 weeks at 52 sets. So the highest volume group in the study still only hit an average of 37 sets per week. The second thing that should jump out at you pretty hard is that they only trained their quads. There was nothing else going on as far as we know. If they would have been hitting 20 or 30 sets of every other muscle group, that would have pulled away from the quads and probably had a big impact on the study. Basically, if you stop training everything else, you have way more training and recovery energy to spend on a single muscle group. It's kind of common sense. So if you don't train anything else and you just focus on your quads, you can do a lot more work with your quads, which can already handle a lot of volume anyway, and you're gonna see more results. So I think that part's kind of intuitive. So the authors of the study never made the claim that 52 sets is the optimal amount for hypertrophy. That's other people jumping in the comments section, jumping on YouTube and making that claim. All the authors of the study have shown here is that if you do a specialization period where you set a block aside to focus on 1 or 2 muscle groups at the expense of some others, you can get pretty large gains by increasing the volume for that muscle. So if the study has value, it lies there. And that if you have a lagging muscle group, you can bring it up by backing off of some other things and really adding volume to that group. People love clickbait. They jumped the gun and said 52 sets a week, that's crazy. Everyone's arguing about it, but no one really made that claim. That's just people getting ahead of themselves. The study itself is pretty useful actually if you take it in the correct context. Bringing up a lagging muscle group, possibly looking at adding volume to certain muscle groups might benefit you. Obviously, if you tried to do 52 sets for every single muscle group, 99.99999% of you would run into some major problems real quick. It's not gonna work. But if you back off of some other things like the heavy deadlifts and squatting, maybe do a little bit less for some muscle groups that are already doing real well, and you're only doing 15 sets for your quads or your back, and you bump that up to 20 to 25, that could be pretty beneficial for you. If you like this content, give me a follow, give me a like. Plenty more where this came from.